the Dog Witch podcast, where we help you create happy, healthy and relaxed dogs. And welcome to the latest edition of the Dog Witch podcast with me, Lisa McCabe, your host, and today I am with the wonderful Sherrie from Shots by Sherrie.
Hello!
Hi! So I am going to start off as we normally start off and just ask Sherrie, what are you drinking?
So very, very excitingly, still water. Yeah, really amazing. It's not the most exotic or exciting drinks.
We have been experiencing some beautiful weather, so it's important to stay hydrated.
I am a big hydrator. Big hydrator. I actually was told by a doctor once to maybe cool it on the water intake.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. You'll need to give me your secret because I am rubbish at drinking water.
I think it might just be that I'm thirsty. Honestly, it's not intentional. I'm not going out of my way to drink a lot, but ever since I was little, I drank a lot of, even my mum used to be like panicking because I would drink so much milk as a baby.
Right, okay.
And then my dad put me on to drinking water actually, because he was one of those guys that was like, you'll like it. You'll drink it and you'll like it because everything else is bad for you. And I was just like, okay, Dad. And so I did, and I'm thankful for it because I actually don't drink any fizzy juice.
Oh wow.
Not a health choice. I actually just don't like it.
Right,
don't drink coffee because I don't like it either. Tea.
You know, I think you've got on with my son. Actually,
Yeah.
he's exactly the same. We call it juicy. It's just diluting juice.
Yeah.
in a bottle, and he must easily go through about 6 of those a day. Yeah. And I actually once said to the doctor, you know, is everything okay? Can you check him for diabetes?
Yeah.
And they were just like, no, it's fine. He just quite likes it.
I've been checked for diabetes 3 times. Because people were just like, are you sure?
You know, he's exactly the same. He just loves water. Does not drink fizzy juice, tea, coffee, anything like that at all. So hey, let's hope it continues.
Yeah, that's all I can say is, I mean, we won't talk about my alcohol consumption.
That's a totally different conversation.
I don't drink alcohol very often at all, and I never drink it at home, but it's the only time that I'm not drinking water, really. It's kind of like super boring until I'm going on a night out, and then it's like cocktails. I love really sugary, fruity, fun cocktails with umbrellas and sparklers in them. Then my drinks get very exciting. So I'm kind of all or nothing from a beverage perspective.
Brilliant. So obviously that leads us into exciting about your job and stuff, because I suppose colour and fabulousness is what you're all about. So would you just kind of introduce your business, tell us a wee bit about it?
Yeah, so my name is Sherrie and my business is Shots by Sherrie, which, although I've just talked about cocktails and alcohol, is actually to do with photography. I've been a professional photographer for about 11 years now, I think, and my style, I guess you would call it, is quite vibrant. Like, it is quite colourful and bold, and I love to just bring out the joy and the vibrancy in anything that I'm shooting. I started off doing weddings and events, and so that was a really fun chance for me to get to know how to catch moments and how to find bits of just memories. I love that part of events, is looking for moments and sort of catching this. And then my editing style being quite kind of bold and vibrant, I was just always drawn to that. I've had the colours in my hair since I turned 18, I think.
Right, okay,
so very long time. This is not new. It's changed shades a couple times. I think when I was 18 it was red first, and then I went to blue, and now it's kind of like pinks and purples. But yeah, always colour, always. It's so weird. My friends are always like, I don't know what you'd look like just without it.
Normal, yeah.
You would look like you at all, because I've never met you without it. So that's very much me. And then I moved into branding probably 6 years ago. Okay. So I was very lucky that I born and raised in Glasgow, and we moved to Dubai. We had the chance to move to Dubai in 2017. So I was in Dubai from 2017 to 2023, and when I was there I did a lot of networking.
Okay.
And so I was meeting a lot of women in business who were doing like amazing things, and they would give me their business card, and then I would go and I would look at their website and I would be like, oh, is this the same person?
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't marrying up.
Yeah, either no photos of them at all, which women in particular are really bad for.
Yes, me.
It's preaching to the choir. Really bad for not showing up at all, or the really old, really kind of low quality photographs, or the branding, just kind of the visuals were really dull and low and kind of low end, if you want to call it that. And the woman I'd met was very kind of like inspiring and visual, and I just thought, oh, this is just not marrying up. So that's when I moved into branding, and so that's kind of my bread and butter now, is brand photography and helping women with their brand visuals.
Brilliant. And just like, how important is that, like, to have something that represents you with your business as well? It's something I know we've touched on with my business, and it's definitely something I need to get done, because there's not a lot of me out there.
It's so, lots of things are important, right? And I never want to be that person that kind of jumps on the bandwagon and is like, it's the most important thing, because you know what, running a business is bloody hard, and there's a lot of plates to spin, and there's a lot of things to keep on top of. But that's not to say that you can forget about it, which I think unfortunately a lot of people do. People get on board with all the other things, and they get to grips with their CEO, their SEO, maybe their copy. They kind of figure out how to run a website, they figure out how to schedule things on their socials and whatever. And actually thinking about the visual side of it gets pushed right to the bottom, because who's got the time? It feels like it takes quite a lot of brain space for some people. But if you're doing all of the work in every other department and your visuals aren't right, you are losing a huge number of potential clients, customers, sales, because and it's a waste of all that work and all that time that you put into everything else, because people come to it and they go, oh well, and they make a snap decision.
I suppose it's like food, isn't it? You eat with your eyes, and if you are looking to make a decision on a person or a business or whatever, and you want to get to know them, you want to know, you're really good at capturing people's personalities. You know, you've taken a couple of cracking photos of me laughing and stuff, and normally I'd be like, oh my goodness. But those photos are amazing because they've just captured how I was in the moment. And you know, that's what I love about it. It just captures the person. So in essence, it's so important to bring that across. Majorly,
especially if you are your business, if you're a solo entrepreneur, if you are the one and only. Even if you do a product, it's sometimes slightly less, but I would still say if you're solo, even the product people are buying from you necessarily more than they're buying the actual product. But if you're a service-based business, 110%, people need to see who you are and get a feel for you and know what your kind of vibe is before they're willing to part with their money, right? And we're all the same.
I suppose, like, for me, I work with the most important member of the family, the dog.
Of course.
So people need to be able to trust me, so that has to come through in what I do, and it'll be like that for other businesses as well, regardless of you know, their niche or you know, the area that they're working in.
100%. It's a big part of the trust component. And I also think there's a mindset thing in here as well, which a lot of people don't realise. I noticed it a lot in Glasgow and the west of Scotland, actually. There's this whole thing about, who am I to get professional pictures? Like, who am I to do, oh, that doesn't really matter, like, let's not worry about it.
It's a Ouija thing, isn't it?
Quite a Ouija thing. Did you? Like, I'm very good, who do you think you are? But I see it happen in real time when I do shoots with women who are kind of, you know, they want to put something out there, but they're a bit anxious, and then I'll show them the photographs that we're getting, and they go, oh my god, is that me? And I'm like, yes. You start to see yourself as a businesswoman, as a business owner, rather than someone trying to sell a thing. You know, there's a big mindset bit there, and I think until you sometimes see it in front of you, you don't quite believe it, and if you don't quite believe it, the people buying from you are not going to believe it.
100%.
So that's a big part of it.
Because I think you've touched on there, the mindset thing, that's so intrinsic as to how we are as business people, especially here in the west of Scotland. Is that you said, no, did you? But that's like, that is our thing, you know. We can look at that and okay. And it does kind of feed into how we operate, especially I think women as well. You know, we're a bit like, we don't want to push ourselves out there, especially those of us who are maybe like mums, and that's kind of like overtaking our lives. So like for me especially, like, I had my son and I put on 6 stone, and it was like, I am never getting another photograph taken ever again. And now I've lost most of that weight. I'm just like, yay, take my photo, that's fine, I'll be in all the photos, we can take some selfies. So
that's great. But my thing is always like, even if you're in the position where you haven't lost it yet, or you haven't gotten to the stage where you maybe want to be at, I'm very passionate about telling people to just get in front of the camera,
Yeah.
even if you don't like it. Not necessarily from a business point of view, although yes, it's important from a business point of view, but from a life point of view. I'll photograph women who are like, oh, I've got grandkids and I've got hundreds of pictures of them, but I'm not in any of them. And I'm like, what happens when you're gone?
Yeah, exactly.
What are they going to have to look at because you avoided being in any photographs? Will it matter how your hair looked or what you weighed?
No, the fact is, people will just remember that you were there.
Yeah, people will remember who you were as a person and the impact that you had. And it would be so sad if an entire generation of women just disappeared from photographs because we were picking each other apart and ourselves apart. So I'm very big on kind of like just show up, and then you can work with people like me or other photographers or whoever to help you feel a bit more comfortable in that process as well. But just show up anyway.
So I think that comes through like your passion and helping people just to really showcase themselves.
Yeah,
It comes through. Is that what you love about your business?
100%. Like, it's so funny. You find this more with female photographers actually, but I have colleagues, I was going to say acquaintances, who are male photographers, lovely, excellent photographers. But the guys in my experience talk more about the tech. Okay. They're very excited by the gear, the gadgets, the lenses, it does this, it does that. And sometimes I'll go and people will be like, oh, what are you using? And I'll tell them. And then they start saying things to me and I'm like, I already don't know what you're talking about. I know my camera and I know it well and I know how to use it. But what I care about is how the person on the other side feels. I want them to be comfortable. I want them to see themselves in a particular way. And I want them to be able to promote the version of themselves that they want to promote. And that's what matters. It's not really about the taking of the picture for me. It's about the end result and making you feel like, oh, this is something I can actually do. And this is something I'm proud to put out there. Because if you love it and you're proud to put it out, you will naturally just be inclined to share it. And people will feel it. Yeah. If you do a post and it's a photo that you love and you talk about how much you love it and you talk about where that energy goes into that post and people will feel it and they'll respond to it. Yeah. And so that's how I'm definitely very passionate about helping people grow their business by also growing how they feel about themselves. Yeah, and I suppose that's such a rewarding thing, isn't it?
I
absolutely love it.
And it comes through in everything that you do. And I've been to lots of events where you've been there and it just comes through and people tend to gravitate to you. Before, when I would see someone pointing a camera, I'd be like, nope, not today. And I'd be like totally out of the way. Now you point a camera and I'm just like, yeah, cool, it's fine. Okay. I don't care if you catch me or a little rabbit nose or whatever. It's totally fine.
But that's the thing I get it, right? Because I'm the world's worst as well for being like, oh, there's a camera. I better sit a certain way. I try not to avoid it. But human beings were not really designed to see ourselves as much as we do right now. Like if you think about historically, hundreds of years ago, when were you looking at yourself?
Exactly.
A cracked bit of glass or maybe a reflection in a body of water for like a couple of seconds. We're so exposed now to looking at our own faces and our own bodies, and so it makes sense that people are not just going to be like, oh my god, I'm amazing off the bat, right? Like a lot of us are going to have like, oh god, like I don't love that angle or I don't love this, but it's learning to kind of be okay with knowing that other people don't see you that way and still showing up, and it's much more important for you to have been there.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing that I'm trying to kind of get into my head as well, especially as my kids are getting older, is it's important for them, as you say, to have those memories, and they don't look at me and think, oh, look at mum or whatever. They're just thinking, there's my mum, she was there, we had amazing days out, and it's the same. Like I will often work early in the morning, I'll often work later at night time, because I want to be there for them during the core parts of the day, especially during the school holidays. Yeah. They don't remember that I was working, they just remember that we've had really cool days out. Yeah. And that's the important things, I think.
100%, and that's what I always try and capture. I'm even outside of professionally, right? Like I'm the record keeper in my friend group. I don't take my proper camera anywhere if it's not for work now, because it's just too much. But my phone is always out, but I try and keep it out in a way that's like quick snap of the moment. I'm not composing anything. I'm just doing a couple of blah, and then it goes away, because I still want to be here and be present and enjoy it. And I think some people go too far the other way.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you can get the best photos just by snapping what's going on. A few weeks ago, I unintentionally captured the best photo of me that you will ever see, and it's not a good one. It is just absolutely hilarious. We were at the football with my dad and brother, and Martin Compston walked past us, and my dad asked him for a photo, and he was like, oh, he's brilliant. Like, if you've not met Martin Compston, he's amazing. Like, he's so kind to everyone and so generous with his time. And he was like, yeah, come on over and we'll get a photo and stuff. So my brother gave me his photo his camera, because his phone even, because it's much better camera than mine.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how to work this thing. I'm like pressing it, and it was like, you know, when you get the dodery old woman that just doesn't know what they're doing, that was me. So I'm pressing it, and Martin's shouting at me, just give me it and I'll selfie it, it's fine. That's how bad it got. And I'm like, no, it's okay, I've got my own phone. So I took a picture of it, and it wasn't until after we'd walked to our seats that we went to look at the photos, and I had taken the worst selfie of myself. Like, it is so bad. And my brother is 18 years younger than me, so I could quite easily be his mum. And he put it on Facebook, and he was just like, when you ask your 40-something sister to take a photo, and it honestly, it was just, aye. But that lives with us as a memory.
Yeah.
Well, it's out there now, it's on Facebook,
Yeah.
it'll never disappear.
No.
But as a family, like, we just kept looking at each other during the game, we just kept bursting out laughing. It was just hilarious.
And that's so beautiful, because you can acknowledge that it's a bad picture without that then meaning that you are somehow less than, right? Which is what
it's hilarious.
It's so funny.
It'll probably go down in like history in my family. It'll be something that will get brought out at Christmas and birthdays.
Yeah.
My brother is having a big party because he missed his 21st because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
So he's 25 this year, and somehow my mum thought, next milestone we'll just have a party. I think it's just an excuse to have a party, to be honest.
Party, yeah.
So it's in the garden, having lots of entertainment and stuff, and I'm more than confident that this picture will be passed.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And that's the joy of just accepting that sometimes you look bad in pictures, but that's alright. It's funny, it's better to just laugh than to be.
Exactly.
And if you had been in a different headspace, you'd have gone, oh my god, delete that right now.
Oh, but
you would have wanted it
gone.
gone.
It brought so much joy.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm all about. It's all about the feelings.
Yeah.
And getting other people to laugh with you and feel those feelings with you.
And it's amazing, just from something not as simple, but something as a photograph.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it just brings so much joy. And I suppose when you translate that into businesses as well, it's just like, oh, look at me, I'm amazing.
100%. It's that feeling of like, oh, who's that business woman? Like, look at me go. And I'm like, yes, that is you. That's been you the whole time, but because you weren't quite believing it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing with like, well, I don't really want to work on my visuals right now, and I don't really want to have to think about it. And it's like, okay, but you don't even know that not just your customer, but also yourself. If you're using really kind of not so great, really grainy selfies, and you're not using proper lighting, you know, you're looking at that, and there's a story going on in the back of your head as well.
Yeah.
About how serious a business owner you are, or how professional you are, or what level you're at. That's feeding into the subconscious as well, and that will also keep you small.
100%.
That will stop you from making decisions and doing things and seeing yourself in a certain way. And you don't know that you're doing that, but that is.
And I think you just have to push yourself out of the comfort zones, don't you?
Yeah, and entrepreneurs are good at that, but photos are definitely the big. I've worked with women all over the world who have all different sizes of businesses. I've worked from tiny small startups to women that are in the 7 figures and have multiple teams. And who are like, oh, I still hate my picture taken. And I'm like, right, okay.
It's crazy,
we're
isn't
gonna
it?
change
Because you
that.
just think the more successful your business is, the more you would feel proud of yourself, and you would just want to put yourself out there. But yeah, like having been on both sides of that, having, you know, built a really successful business and then closed that down and having to start again, I've been at both sides of it, and you're right. I was kind of like, oh, I don't want my picture taken. Sometimes I went to awards ceremonies and people would take pictures and they'd be in the paper, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to be in the paper.
Yeah.
But they looked good, you know, the pictures were good, that was the thing. So I suppose, like, you provide transformations. I suppose that's exactly what you do.
That's a lovely way to put it. Yeah, that is what I try to do. And I think it took me a while to see that, because I think I moved from kind of candid stuff to now my brand shoots there's a lot of input for me, and there's a lot of input beforehand, and there's a lot of understanding someone's branding, and it is a wee bit of a transformation, because I am taking them from someone who most of the time, 5% of my clients hate having their pictures taken. That's kind of my USP at this point. I just have attracted people that will be like, listen, this is going to be awful. I hate this. And I'm like, great.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I'm so excited. But I am, because that is then to me, I'm like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, totally.
We're going to make this fun. We're going to make this something that you actually enjoy doing and that you like the results of. And I've photographed, there was a woman I did headshots for down in London just at an event. So when I go to events, I'll do like really small headshot packages. And she was the speaker at the event. She'd been in business for over 30 years. She was the head of a massive PR and comms company who had teams all over the world. And she said to me, she went, it's fine, just take it. I'm not going to like it anyway. Like, I've never liked a picture. And I was like, okay. And I also was like, what are we talking about? You've never like, you work in PR for 30 years and you've never liked a photo of yourself. I was like, no, absolutely not. So then I asked, and this is something that I also do, is that I'll ask people, like, let's get a little bit personal here. What is it you're not liking? Some people, like, they smile and their eyes disappear. That's a big one for me. I'm like, all teeth. I'm just my eyes just vanish. Which was, I think, the thing for her. Some people, it's their weight and their chin and their this. Everybody's got things. So if I ask, then I can be like, well, let's try and mitigate that. There's a lot that we can do posturally, angles-wise, to change that. And so I was trying to get her to open her eyes a little bit more. And she was like, this feels nuts. And I'm like, I know, but it looks really good. So just trust me. And I spent maybe 15 minutes with her and I showed her the pictures and she was like, oh my God,
wow,
I really like them. And I was just like,
yeah, it's just little things.
It's little things and it's asking.
It's kind of like what I do with the dogs. It's just everyday things, elevating them, pointing them out, and you don't know what you don't know, right?
You don't know what you don't know.
As soon as it's pointed out to you, you're like, oh yeah, and it can just make such a world of difference.
Yeah, I think it makes such a difference. And I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I was going to make a suggestion.
Okay.
From a podcast point of view, maybe we could do a literal demonstration.
Okay.
Of this. So we've got this set up here, and I assume this is because the lovely garden is outside.
Yes.
And it's sunny.
Because I don't want to be looking at, I don't know, the washing.
But from a lighting perspective, you and I would look so much more glowy if we were
The other way. Okay. No problem.
But we don't have to move it. But this would be because again, this is what people do, right? We think about background, which is important, and it's part of it, because yeah, you don't want your washing in it. We don't want that. But I always say to people, you don't know what you don't know, and actually better lighting will make a much bigger impact than a better background if the lighting is bad.
Okay.
And that's like a subconscious thing that people don't know that they're judging, but they might look at it and be like, something's off.
See, what I would love to do is I have a dedicated dog watch room upstairs.
Okay.
But usually Zach is my dog. Usually he is absolutely filthy and he will cry if we go upstairs. But what eventually I would like to do is I reclaimed one of my grand's chairs after she passed away, and I'm looking at getting it all done up, and I would like to have two kind of really comfy chairs where I have like the setup and we can sit up there, so that's where it's going. But yes, the next interview I do, I will switch it round and then you can give me some feedback.
I would love that, because I don't want to move all of our stuff now, but I was like, let's turn and reposition, but like we won't put you through that.
Thank you. And so we've touched on all of the things that you love and the transformations that you make. Is there anything that you don't really love?
Of course. You don't run a business. You know this. You do not run a business and be like, I love every single part of it. Like, no. The admin, I think. I feel you. I'm not an admin person. That's why I went into a creative job, and then I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to actually do the back end. What? I have to accounts. What are we talking about here?
The dream is to have a VA and someone to do all the social media. There, you do that.
Yeah,
and
social media is
I love
a big one, and I know even though I'm someone that works in content, and I don't hate social media, but I hate that it's become like anything, right? As soon as something's a chore, as soon as something is something you have to do, you kind of lose wanting to do it.
Yes.
Because you have to run on a schedule and everything has to be designed a certain way. But I think for me, I definitely struggle with actual day-to-day admin of like keeping spreadsheets of this, and next thing. I've only just started getting better at like tracking leads and like following up with people, and I like to be very kind of authentic and quite kind of go with the flowy.
Yeah.
But if you're at networking events and you're meeting multiple people every week, every month,
Yeah.
and then they say, oh, that would be good, and then you never message them again,
They forget about you.
they forget, of course. We're all going to forget.
Yeah, I'm 100% the same, and I've literally just started doing, that's actually what I was doing before you came in today. I was actually setting up my leads tracker and starting to populate that as well, because I am so bad. I will have conversations with dog owners all the time, and I will give them quick wins, and then I'll forget to follow up with them, and yeah. And I suppose you'd be the same as well. You maybe take photos at events, people tell you that you love them, and then you forget all about it.
And we're all so busy. Like, I
Yeah.
don't blame anyone for forgetting. We're all so oversaturated. We're all so busy. But now I've got like a system, but it's like a big old spreadsheet, and you've got like, when did you contact them? When did you last? What was it about? Notes, their name, their business, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm not good with large amounts of information and like data processing and keeping on top of all the stuff you're supposed to keep on top of, right? Like, I want to go out and talk to people and meet people and take photographs.
You want to do all the good stuff.
I want to do all the stuff I got into business to do. So I think time management and admin for me have been really hard, but I work with Heather from Clarity Consultants.
Oh, Heather's
now.
amazing. Heather is fabulous.
Absolutely.
She works me into shape too.
Yeah. So I do the monthly accountability with Heather, and I think it's the best investment I've ever made, because she is the person that will bring me back on track. I just had a launch for my course, and I feel like all of my energy was going into getting the course launched, getting it live, getting it online, and that was a week ago. And I feel like, what have I done since? I have done things, but I'm now kind of bumbling around like, what's next? And I need this. I've got a 2-hour meeting with Heather tomorrow, and she's going to be like, right, let's focus.
Bring you back to earth.
Bring me back to earth. What is the next goal? What is the next thing we need to focus on? When are you going to find time in your diary to do it? So I definitely need an external source.
Okay, and you touched on it a little bit there. What's next? Tell us about the course.
Yeah, so this has been a long time coming. I talked about kind of how I got into branding and things like that, but before I ever did photography, my undergraduate degree was in psychology. Okay. And then I was a teacher, so I went into education.
Oh, fabulous.
And so when I left, that's another really long story, when I leaving teaching was a disaster. But when I left all that behind, I kind of did that thing where you compartmentalise and you're like, well, that's the thing, whatever, just put it back. But when we moved back from Dubai, I started thinking about, well, this is a skill set I've got. Like, 100%, I understand people and what makes them tick and what they're looking for. I understand how people learn, and I always say, kind of spoiler alert, it's the same way that kids learn. Adults learn the same way as kids. We just kind of forget that as we get older. And so I thought, I think I can teach people. And I've been a photographer for 10 years nearly, and people had started to ask me, about how to take pictures, and I also saw a lot of women who maybe wanted to do a bigger brand shoot, but they weren't in the position. Like, they're just far too early in the journey to be able to invest in something like that. But I wanted to be able to give them the skills to actually do it themselves. So little bits of information, like the light is more important than the background, and little stuff like that. And I'd be saying things like that to people, and I would be coaching people on shoots as well, and they'd be like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. That's really good to know. And I thought, all right, I need to start putting this into something. Putting all your knowledge together. Yeah. So I kind of brought it all together, and I've built this self-paced course. It's called Visual Brand Storytelling. Okay. So it kind of brings together all of my photography knowledge, and you're covering how to take better selfies, how to take better...
Not like me.
Not at all. Like, I like your selfies. I think it's just, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, right? 100%. But all of that is in there, but the first module is all about knowing your brand. So the first bit is like, before you start taking any pictures, I want you to really dig in and understand who your ideal client is. Yeah. And psychologically, what drives them, what motivates them, and what are they drawn to? What kind of aesthetics and colours and images do you need to be putting out to get their attention? Because everyone's so attention poor now. Yeah. That is such a big part of it before you ever start taking photos. So that is a big part of kind of the first module. But there's 4 modules and 14 lessons, and there's quizzes and there's loads of practical tasks that you have to go on and do rather than just sit and absorb. And there's a workbook that you have to kind of fill out as you go along. Again, it's that embedding the learning rather than just hearing it.
Yeah, I suppose like for people like me, I learn practically. You know, sit me in front of a computer for 2 hours and I will switch off. But if you give me things to do, I see a lot of myself in my son actually, because he's very, you know, we get lots of feedback from the teacher, like if we have to sit and he has to write, then he just loses the place. But if I get him out into the open area and give him toys and stuff, you know, he's really engaged. And we do this thing with homework as well, where as soon as if we bring out the homework jotter, he will have a meltdown. He's not doing homework, and there's times where I just want to throw him outside. But we have a book where he will draw something that he's really interested in. Like he loves football, he loves superheroes, all the usual boys things. I hate stereotyping like that, but Killian is a proper boy.
just very much like if you're gonna do, if he's in the box.
And he will maybe like, he loves to draw, so we'll maybe draw something from YouTube or whatever, and then we will write about that, and then we'll make up like little maths questions, and before we know it, we've done half an hour of homework and he doesn't even realise he's done. And that's kind of what you're doing, I suppose, is you're teaching people how to do proper photography without them realising they're doing it.
100. And I designed it specifically not so that people would be intimidated by the idea of, oh, I need this kind of camera, or I need this tech, or I need to be, but it's not about that at all. It's definitely just about, first of all, really knowing your brand, and because that is the big thing for so many people. They're like, oh, how can I just take a nice picture? And I'm like, great, a nice picture will only go so far. You're not actually going to be speaking to the person that you want to speak to, and you're not telling a story. You're not tapping into anyone's emotions. You're just kind of doing something that looks nice, which is great, whatever. But people really underestimate that first part about what does your person want to see. And then we make like a brand mood board in it. There's 3 case studies that we take through the whole course, so it's like 3 different kinds of business, so you can really get a feel for which is closest to yours. And then we make a brand mood board, and then my whole thing is like, that mood board should be then your visual voice. That's what you look at when you're making posts, when you're designing a new blog for the website, when you're doing graphics for whatever. Look at your visual voice board and be like, does it fit? Because if it doesn't, you've started to wonder. And business owners love to wonder. Love to be like, oh, shiny. Shiny object.
What's that new thing?
Well, we could do that. We could do this. And I'm like, focus. I'm doing the visual version of what Heather does, right?
I was just about to say.
It's about consistency and focus. And if you've done all the work to create this board and this voice that you're like, that is exactly the vibe of the person I'm trying to attract, then it means you just keep looking at it and you keep bringing it back, because as soon as it starts to wander off and look really inconsistent, that person's going to lose a bit of trust in you. Visual consistency also builds trust. It's not just about loads of photos of you. It's about, can I trust this brand? Like, you think about all the major brands that, you know, like imagine McDonald's published something that was like green and blue and had no yellow, no red, and none of their font. You'd be like,
what's going on?
Looks fake. Just something in your brain would be like, that looks like a scam.
And I've noticed as well, like people love to see Zach. So if he's in my photos, if he's in my videos, this morning I did a little live and he was like zooming in behind me. You know, people love to see that, and that for me has to be really important, because they have to know that I'm a dog person, because they are trusting me with their dog. And that's, I suppose, what you're trying to promote.
Exactly. And like I said about us being so oversaturated, right? Like, we have so much stuff coming at us all the time. You could craft this beautiful story that you put in a caption that you spent ages working on and has all the right words in it. If someone's literally sitting doing this and scrolling, they're not reading any of that first. But if they see a picture of that little face and they've got a dog, they might be like, oh, who's that? And then they click see more, and then they read it, and then you've got them. Whereas if it's just a picture of something that kind of looks nice, or even sometimes just a picture of you if they don't know who you are yet, like if it's a cold audience, they don't know that you're anything to do with dogs unless he's in it, and so they just keep going, and so you miss them and 100%. You lose them. So having him in it is like so important.
I suppose sex sells.
Exactly.
He's much better looking than I am. So
I think it's just it's what people are feeling and what people are drawn to and what people can relate to. And there's an example I use in the course of a parenting coach that I work with who's a client of mine. And we did a photograph of her looking over at her kid, really like sad and just really like exhausted looking, and really, which you wouldn't, if I was just showing up to a shoot, I wouldn't necessarily suggest that. But she knew that her ideal clients were really struggling with the guilt of just being exhausted and not being able to play with your kids and how difficult that is. So she was going to do a big post about that. But the image of an exhausted mum looking over at a kid, if you're a tired, exhausted mum, that image is going to be like, whoa, it's going to jump out the screen at you, and you're going to be like, oh God, that's me. What's this about? And then you read it. If that had just been a smiling picture of Pascal, if they didn't know who she was, they might not have stopped. So it's thinking about the ideal client and all that, and designing pictures that really match. So that's essentially a long-winded answer. That's what the course is teaching you to do.
So that's where you're headed next.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing that I'm putting out there. I'm also hopefully starting to plan some events. I'm talking to Heather about this tomorrow.
Brilliant.
But some more events of my own this year on confidence building, being confident on camera, taking reels, and because some people feel really stressed out and weirded out about that, about video, about. So,
it took me a long time to get to grips with it, because I sound like a 12-year-old boy, so it's just like, oh no, I didn't.
So for you, you're just like,
yeah, it took a while to get to grips with it, and now I'm just like, yeah, it's me, I'm a crazy dog lady, it's fine.
So that's definitely something I'm looking at.
Oh, brilliant, that sounds great. And I suppose, could we just move into, it wouldn't be a dog podcast if we didn't chat about dogs, but I know that you're more of a cat person, but well, you have cats at the moment, but you love dogs too.
I do. I'm an animal person. This is what I always say. People are like, are you a dog person or a cat person? And I'm like, enough with the nonsense. I am absolutely both, because I just love animals. I love all animals. I've had animals my whole life. I've got 3 cats currently, but I've had dogs in the past. My mum has 2 lovely dogs, and we are hopefully planning on getting a dog at some point, and then we're renovating a house at the moment, and so
so we were talking about that earlier on, how the planning stage has got to the point where you're planning for an outdoor bath for a dog.
And we actually designed our living room. I think you'll appreciate this. So when I was designing the layout for the living room, we have specifically designed a space that fits a golden retriever sized dog crate.
Brilliant.
So that, because we don't have one yet, but I was like, I want there to be a space that dog can be in here, and I want us to have considered that before we design it all and then go, oh, where are we going to put the dog?
I love that, I absolutely love that, because literally our old house, my husband and I moved in there when it was literally just us, and before we moved house there was 3 dogs and 4 humans, and we were just all on top of each other. But the dogs had the premium space, like in the living room we all bunched up together to make sure that the dogs had their beds. And every house we looked at, I mean, estate agents and things must have thought we were off our heads, because like, oh, where are the dogs going to go? And the 2 old boys have now sadly passed, and they've been over the Rainbow Bridge, but we've got Zach. And he's just living the life of Riley, because this house was meant to be for 3 dogs. Yeah. So he's got a room in every bed. A bed in every room. So he's just loving life. And I suppose you're kind of doing the same.
That's the goal. I mean, we definitely know that we wanted to have some sort of space, and we would love like an outdoor bath, because where we live is lovely. We're in a nice village, but there's loads of really like beautiful walks. But the mud is next level.
Oh, honestly, living with a Cocker Spaniel who just thinks he's a hippo, I would say, just put everything in place right now. We just recently, we only moved in here about a year ago, and we just recently bought a garden hose, and he's running about like it was a blooming shower, and we're going, oh my goodness. So I think an outdoor bath is something we'll need to invest into.
Listen, I can't wait for that to just be a thing that exists. And I was commenting on your walk-in mat as well that you have at the front for just like dirty feet, dirty paws. I definitely want a built-in like floor mat.
Honestly, it's like, I think us women are designed to, because when I first looked at this house and I walked in, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And my husband's like, what, the size of the kitchen? I'm like, no, look at this mat. And he's just like, what?
Do you know, it's I would have said there that's because you're usually the one doing the cleaning up, but my husband he is far more the clean one than me. Like, he's very good at keeping on top of everything domestically. I'm the one that walks around like a tornado, not seeming to notice the mess. So yeah, we absolutely have been planning. It's so funny because we don't have any kids yet either, and we're much more on the fence about that, because whenever we go anywhere, my husband is so dog ready.
That's brilliant.
He's so, anytime he sees Bubba, he's like, oh, a puppy, oh my god.
Your husband sounds like the male version of me. I am the person that literally goes to the party and makes friends with the dogs.
Yes. Oh yeah. Who's not making friends with the dogs? I'm like, I'll just be here with the animals if you don't mind. So 100%. And it's funny you said about Little Hippo, because my mum's got 2 bulldogs, and one of them, Harley, she is the epitome of. We actually call her Hippo Dog more than we call her Harley, because she's kind of a purpley. Colour as well. I don't know what lavender, I think, is what they call it.
Okay, is that the official?
Lavender is the name of the kind of her colouring, I guess.
Beautiful.
But she's got, their health is not excellent now, and they've both got kind of not great skin conditions, and so she's mostly bald. So she really does look like a little hippopotamus, and she kind of waddles everywhere. But whenever I've taken her into the water, she's just kind of like pop, 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 and I'm like, I swear people would double take and think that there's just a wild little pygmy hippo.
You've got a baby one running about on a lead.
100%. But they're lovely. It's funny though, because my husband's not big on bulldogs.
Okay.
He loves certain dogs, but he can be a bit breedist when it comes to like, they have to be pretty. And bulldogs are not always the prettiest.
It just reminds me, he would probably be absolutely horrified at this, but the Glasgow University used to have like a big kind of summer fair, and when I had my dog walking business, we used to go to that every year, and they had Snog a Bulldog. And it was literally, you were giving money to charity and you could go up and the bulldog would give you a lick. So
he would not know about money in the world.
It was brilliant. You would just, and there was queues of people lining up to get kisses from bulldogs. And I just love them. I just think they're so full of like sass and like
so
check me out.
Much character.
They're brilliant dogs.
Big personalities. And just so stubborn. And the number of times I've tried to take the both of them on a walk, and one wants to go this way and one wants to go this way, and it's just stalemate. I'm just in the middle, like, guys, we need to make some sort of decision here. But they just plonk themselves down and they weigh a ton. So I'm just like, I can't, what do you want me to do? It's just 10 minutes stood like this with one on either end. So that's awkward, although they don't do as much walking anymore because they're both quite sore. They've got like sore hips, sore backs.
They do tend to. It's such a shame because all those kind of breeds have been, their genetics have been messed about with, so as they get older they do start to suffer, and it's such a shame.
It is a shame. And she's had a sore hip, she's had hip and leg issues since she was really little actually, and I think she had a phantom pregnancy.
Oh, poor sausage.
And so she was just, her health really has never been great. They were both like pedigree, you know,
but I think that's the thing, it's just the genetics have just been messed about, and you see it like on shows like Crufts and stuff where you'll see like the in shows, but a couple of years ago German Shepherd won, like, you know, the best in show, but its back end was dipping down and it just didn't look how a German Shepherd should have looked. And that's the thing, all these beautiful majestic breeds are being lost to how
because we want
society think they look. And again it goes back to the photography, you know, it's like how we should look and how society views us, but the reality is that we're all beautiful in our own skin, so
100%.
Leave the dogs alone.
Why can't we just leave them to be as pretty as they are?
That's it,
without having to be like, oh, well, we're going to take this one with a short snout and this one with a shorter snout and breed it because we want an even shorter snout. And it just feels like, at what point were we remembering that a dog needed to breed? Like,
or just let them be dogs.
Like why just? And I've always loved kind of like cross breeds. We were never, the 2 bulldogs are the first dogs we've ever bought, I think, like from a breeder. Which I was a bit like, why are we doing that? My stepdad's actually to blame for that. He's a big aesthetics guy. Ex-stepdad, thankfully now, but he was definitely very driven by the status and the look. So it had to be pedigree and it had to be this. And my mum's always been one that's like, whatever, we'll just pick one up. So somebody's got puppies around the corner that they're needing homes for.
Ziggy and Zane were both rescue dogs, both like Heinz 57. We have an idea of what they were, but and both of them were beautiful. But you're going to fall, Zach. Ziggy, people would comment on how unusual Ziggy was and how beautiful he was, and the reason that we adopted Zane is because he looked very like Ziggy. Zach is the first kind of like pedigree dog that we've ever had, and the only reason we have him is because his mum is my mum and dad's dog.
So there you go.
And she had pups, and my mum was like, what are we going to do with all these pups? You know? So,
This was exactly most of the dogs we've had. His mum has known someone who's like had puppies, or she's just been like, oh yeah, okay, let's do that. We did. I get the name in my mum's life. Her ex-husband, not this one, before, he really wanted a wolf dog.
Right, okay.
So like drove up north to people that actually did breeding of like wolves. Jeez. And had a wolf dog, which horrendous decision because we lived in a 3-bedroom bungalow in a suburb. Like, what are we like? And we weren't a hiking family either. We didn't like go on big trips. So we had this dog who was lovely dog, but like big ass wolf dog who needed a lot of exercise and wasn't getting it. And so would bark at people when they came to the door. Wouldn't be aggressive, but definitely would kind of like no, and it would freak people out because it's a big wolf dog. And so eventually we had to kind of rehome him. And I remember even at the time I was quite young being like, this was a dumb...
Yeah, this is a disaster.
Why have we done this? This is really not a good idea.
Yeah.
But I've always had dogs around the house.
A couple of episodes ago I did an interview with Katie Bell and we talked about that, like just choosing the right dog for your family. And even as a child you're going, no, this isn't the right one for me.
No, I mean, I loved the dog. We called him Thor, because of course we did. But I just thought, this is a lovely dog, but it's not fair. Because I just don't think, I was like, this dog should be getting out hours a day in the hills or whatever, not being walked on a lead around a suburb. Like, this just doesn't seem right. And I love huskies, like big, gorgeous huskies, Samoyeds, like Malamutes. I think they're beautiful. But we wouldn't get one for us because we don't live a lifestyle that suits that kind of dog, and it's not fair.
But you're already planning ahead for the dog that suits your lifestyle, which is brilliant. You know, a golden retriever is going to be exactly what you need. They are just gorgeous dogs, full of life, full of fun. And as you say, you live in a place where there's lots of muddy walks for them to wallow in, and
we've got a nice garden which has got decent space in it. The 3 cats, I'm very interested to see
how that goes.
How that's gonna go, because we've got my granddad has a chocolate lab.
Okay.
And he is doing a lot of the work on our house for us, which we're very grateful for. But the dog goes nowhere. He goes nowhere without the dog. He and the dog are attached at the hip. He's on his own, and his dog. He had a dog, Jess, border collie, for years and years, 14, 15 years. And then when she died, he was just beside himself, and I thought, we can't leave him. He's going to go downhill real fast, I think, if we don't get him a friend. So we got him this chocolate lab puppy, which I remember thinking at the time Papa would have been late 70s, and I was like, are we sure a Labrador puppy is the correct decision here? But they are inseparable. He takes him on a huge walk every morning, gets up at 5:30 to take the dog out.
Probably find that keeps your granddad
100%. Oh, he needs it. He's like, I wouldn't get out of my bed and do all the things I need to do if he wasn't there, kind of looking at me like, let's go for a walk. But whenever the dog comes to the house, my cat's just scatter. It's just like, whoa, the dog's here, I'm off. So I think we're going to have to be really careful about the introduction whenever we get.
As long as you do it properly, it'll be absolutely fine.
And we want a pup for that
cats
reason.
Tend to assert their dominance. It's like, you see it yourself on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. There's so many videos that you see where cats are just like, no dog, I'm the boss.
I think that's definitely going to happen.
And I think golden retrievers they're so silly, they're also so clever, and they're just dead laid back. So I think they'll just be like, whatever, the cat's the boss and I'll just fit in wherever because mum and dad love me and it'll be cool.
And I think they want to be where mum and dad are. So I know huskies love to be really independent, and so they escape a lot, and there's a lot of like, you can't take your eyes off them because they'll be like, bye.
They're just off.
I think retrievers are much more likely to be like, what you doing? Like in your face all the time. So that's another reason we want a pup though, because I would love to do like a rescue. My husband's a bit more like, well, I really want like a small puppy. One, because he wants the small puppy, and I'm like, that's because you've never had a puppy, but okay. And I love puppies. But I think also
touching on that, my husband always used to say, we've had kids, it'll be fine, it'll be totally fine when we get the pup, it'll be absolutely fine. I swear when we brought Zach home, he was 12 weeks. My mum actually gave him to us a couple of days before my daughter's birthday, because he was my daughter's birthday present from her gran and grandpa. And I swear the first couple of months is the hardest I have ever experienced in my life. I was just like, I would happily trade this for a new kid. Give me a
I've
newborn.
heard people say that.
Give me a newborn, because Ziggy and Zane, when we adopted them, they were about a year and 9 months. So they weren't tiny puppies, but they were obviously rescue dogs, so we had to do a lot of work to integrate them at the time. But just that new tiny baby puppy, we'd had a pup when I was a kid, but I had never experienced that as an adult, and it was the hardest thing I have ever had to do. We got through it, and he's now an amazing, well, he'll be 3 pretty soon, so he's now an amazing, well-rounded, chilled dog, but my goodness, those first few months, so yeah, your husband's in for it.
I don't think he realises at all, because he was not an animal, he loves animals, but he was never allowed them. Okay. His mum's doesn't really like animals, and she's very clean, she's very tidy. He had a hamster, I think. So then when he met me, I was just like, immediately cats. Like, we were straight in with cats very early, as soon as we lived together. And he is a big dog person, but he's never done the puppy bit or and I'm like, when it's in your house and you're not just in the park meeting a puppy, and we will have just renovated, so everything will be brand new.
So yeah, I mean, that was like us when we moved into our house. I mean, obviously Zach was past the tiny puppy stage when we moved into our new house, but it was like a brand new house, like just out of the packet, new build. So we were like, how is this going to go? But thankfully he's been brilliant, and I think a lot of the work that I do fed off on him. You know, I was straight in with the massage, I was straight in with the essential oils, all of that. So I mean, people comment all the time, he's a spaniel but he's so chilled. But that's crazy how chilled he is. That's because of all the work that I did do, not just when we brought him home, but I met his mum and all the litter, and my mum was really good at allowing us to like handle them, and one of his brothers was really unwell, so I'd helped my mum nurse him back to health and things. So we did a lot of the groundwork before, but I think if you do all the work, I mean, don't worry, I'll be on hand to help you. So
I was going to say we probably will need them, because I imagine there will be a lot of energy, retriever pups. But I would have said the same thing about a spaniel, which is I think why I asked when I came in, because I expected this just ball. I've met cocker spaniels before who are just like, bow, bow, and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing, but Jesus. But so chill, very interested and very excited to see you, but very mellow.
Yes, he's very calm
and relaxed, and like he's like here, and he's like, please, I would like to look at you and pay me some attention.
We're so lucky. We really are lucky, because he's very good with the kids as well. Just loves like snuggling, but at the same time he's also their alarm clock in the morning, and I'll open their doors, right, it's time to get up, and he jumps on them, and then like, oh my god.
You can't stay sleeping in bed. You've got
but it's all good fun.
But it's a testament to your work as well that he's like that. Like,
thank you.
I think he's a great walking advert for what it is that you do and keeping them happy.
And hopefully you'll be able to capture that. We'll get some sessions booked in, and you'll be able to capture that. So I think that's probably a good place for us to kind of round off. But before we sign off, could you please just let our listeners know where they can find you? So I am everywhere, Shots by Sherrie. So Sherrie is SHERRIE. My god, I forgot my own name for a second there. And that is I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, my website is shotsbysherrie.com, I'm on TikTok. So just if you type that in, you'll find me anywhere. I'm sure we'll maybe put something in the we'll
notes.
Put some links on the podcast notes as well. But thank you so much, it was so good to chat to you.
You're welcome.
Thank you everyone for listening. The next guest I'm going to have on is Kat Patterson, which I cannot wait to chat to. You're going to absolutely love her. But thank you, Sherrie, for joining us, and I will see you soon. Take care, bye. Thank you for listening to the latest edition of the Dog Witch podcast. Don't forget to tune in to our next episode soon.